Eyewitness News communications specialist Dr. Lillian Glass joins us now, and today she's going to take a look herself at those presidential debates. Lillian, what did you see there?
Well, we'll tell you. What influences our decision to choose a presidential candidate? Well, obviously, the issues at hand should be the foremost consideration, but sometimes they're not. We may think we live in a democracy where the way a person looks or speaks shouldn't matter, but the reality of it is that it does matter. The way a person looks, and even more important, the way a person speaks, can influence how we judge that person. It can even influence who we vote for. Well, today we'll observe some of our past presidents and current candidates, and perhaps we'll gain a little more insight into their total image.
In 1893, when President Grover Cleveland had a cancerous lesion of his upper jaw removed, leaving him with nasal speech, he subsequently had a special denture installed, allowing him to speak. Being so conscious of the effect that public opinion could have on his presidential career, he kept this incident a secret until 24 years after he left office. FDR was by far one of the most vibrant political speakers of all time, whose voice gave the public the assurance they needed during that critical period in history. Even though he was crippled, he managed to sound healthy and in control, even in his final speeches when he was gravely ill. It was said that Wendell Willkie may have lost a crucial election in 1944 because he lost his voice by shouting at his party's convention and wasn't allowed to speak until the last few weeks before the election. Most of us remember the Kennedy-Nixon debates. Experts felt that Nixon clearly won, but Kennedy's charm, his warmth, his ability to communicate these attributes won him public support. Why did Gerald Ford get such bad PR? He obviously didn't lack intelligence, but the ability to communicate his message, which sounded muffled in his monotonous speech pattern. What made Jimmy Carter sound so weak? Well, his upward inflection at the end of a statement, his smiling at inappropriate times reflecting facial tension due to stress, gave a confusing message to the public. The great communicator, President Ronald Reagan, certainly outshined him in their 1980 debate, which helped sway public opinion in his favor. Prior to last Sunday's debates, President Reagan was considered the front runner in terms of his public image. He was polished, in control, knew just how to get his message across in a confident manner. Mondale, on the other hand, had a lot of catching up to do, according to analysts. He had a high-pitched nasal monotone and wasn't animated when he spoke, and sounded boring. Well, he must have listened to what the press was telling him, because he clearly got the message. During the debate, he was in control, spoke slowly, paused after a thought, and was more animated, both facially and with gestures. He looked directly into the camera and had a more clear-sounding voice than he had in the past. On the other hand, what changed over 4 years in terms of Reagan's communication skill? In this debate, his head movements weren't as steady, his eye contact wasn't as direct into the camera, and his voice didn't project consistently as it once did.
Both candidates are qualified and have a lot to offer this country, but the determining factor in who wins the election may not only be the issues, but how well the candidates present them. And if the candidates can't communicate the issues, nobody wins the election. Warren.
A lot of truth to that, I suspect. Thank you very much for that, Lillian.